Whatever happened to the days when little girls were supposed to be made of sugar and spice and everything nice?
Go fight tonight!
Now, from rock videos to small-town America, the image of many of our girls has changed, and so has their behavior.
Don't mess me over, don't burn me, because if you do, I'm gonna hurt you.
I always wanted to see what it felt like to hit a girl with a bat, so I said, yeah, now's my chance.
She was an elderly lady, and we had stopped her 28 times.
Very serious crimes that the girls are committing, from first, second-degree murder to all sorts of assaults.
You know, they just didn't beat somebody up. They beat them up and they smashed their face, and they did very violent things to them.
The girls will get out and pull weapons and take the property or the money, and then make fun of the boys for not doing it.
According to judges, police, and corrections officials, violent bad girls have become a nationwide problem. Boys still commit about 4 times as many crimes as girls, but the girls are coming on strong. For instance, if you look at those offenses which the FBI defines as serious crimes, for the years 1983 to 1987, the arrest rate for girls increased 10 times faster than for boys. I'm Deborah Norville, and tonight, a look at this new breed of bad girls.
Bad Girls, an NBC News special.
Okay, been an American teenage pastime, driving up and down Main Street looking for fun or trouble. The hit movie American Graffiti recreated the ritual. Today, it still goes on across the country, but there's a new twist. Often, if there's trouble, it's the girls who start it, particularly crimes of violence.
That's it for tonight. You're gonna get out of the car and start a fight with him. What's that gonna sell?
Since 1979, nationwide, there's been a 30% increase in the rate of girls arrested for aggravated assault. Officer Wayne Furtado of the Fall River, Massachusetts Police Department.
We've had more instances of assault and batteries, more disturbances involving females. I don't think the public is really aware of how big of a problem that it really can be.
What kind of girls are you seeing out here on the Ave?
They're violent, whether it be that something that's inside of them or just they're out looking for trouble for whatever reason. Next thing you know, someone's getting either hit over the head with whether it be a baseball bat, in one instance with one girl up here, and a beer bottle, tire iron, whatever they can get their hands on.
And we're talking about girls doing this.
Majority of the time, yeah.
I would do stupid things like run around and pull gold chains off of somebody's neck and stuff like that. It's crazy stuff.
Meet one of the new breed of violent girl. 15-year-old Shauna Gennard has been in trouble with the law since she was 13. It started with skipping school and doing drugs, but she quickly graduated to theft and violence.
My fighting would be just like a hit here and there, but then it started getting real evil, and I would start stabbing people or holding up a gun to them and saying, do this or I'm going to shoot you.
Girls have also contributed to the explosion of gang violence in our cities. In Los Angeles County, in just the past 2 years, the number of juvenile females arrested for violent crime is up 24%. 15-year-old Roblique Anderson is one of the girls responsible for that increase.
I'm just thinking about tearing that person's head off. I don't think about what's going to happen in the end. I just think about that. I'm going to hurt you real bad.
The first petition was filed January 8th.
Judge Randolph Moore, L.A. County Juvenile Court, sees a lot of these new young criminals.
245, a crime of violence.
This is the 5th time in 2 years Roblique has been charged with assault and battery.
All right, the judgment of the court is as follows. She's ordered committed to the California Youth Authority. The maximum term of confinement is 3 years. I think the onset of the gang era and the drug era has produced a tougher, more violent young lady. They are more involved in more violent crimes, and they seem to be the ones that instigate and agitate more so than the boys. The girls will get out and pull weapons and take the property or the money, and then make fun of the boys for not doing it.
So the girls are the tough guys?
Yeah, got them. We've got them.
Professor Ira Schwartz of the University of Michigan believes today's statistics are just the beginning.
If anything, you know, our families are under terrible stress and are being torn apart. Our inner cities are decaying. Our public school systems are crumbling. The fact that, you know, children make up the largest group living in poverty in the United States does not speak well for us being able to prevent serious juvenile crime.
And it's not just the big cities that produce these tough girls. Eva Bloomfield lived in Kingman, Arizona. Now she lives in the Arizona State Prison for Women. When she was 16, Eva led a pair of teenage boys on a 2-week crime spree, just for the fun of it.
But with me, I was the one with the ideas and with the plans, the one that knew what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it.
Phoenix convenience store clerk John Lauder was the first victim.
I thought they were going to shoplift, so I kind of kept an eye on them. And they circled the store a couple of times, and Eva picked up a candy bar and brought it up to the counter.
And I opened up the duffel bag and pulled out the gun, and I demanded all the money from the cash register that was open.
Well, when I saw she had the gun, the first thing I was saying is, what's this little girl doing holding a gun on me?
I think at the beginning I was a bit nervous, but after I'd pulled the gun, I felt that I was in control of the situation.
From the way she looked and the way she acted, you know, she was totally in charge of the situation, giving the guy that was with her orders. And she looked like she enjoyed it. She wouldn't have minded at all pulling the trigger if I'd given her the least excuse. I know that.
Detective Carly Anderson was in charge of the case.
Eva, in company of the two guys she was with, her brother and the other kid, were responsible for, I'd say, at least 15 to 16 crimes, ranging from the armed robbery down to theft from vehicles and burglary.
One of Eva's favorite tricks was to lure pizza delivery drivers to an abandoned house and rob them. She pulled this scam 3 times, one time on delivery woman Shelley Thielen.
I thought, I was scared. I was like, wanted to give him my money and please let me go, don't take my car, let me get out of here.
Next, Eva's gang held up 2 school janitors. The victims were robbed at gunpoint, tied up, and left in the darkened school building. Sergeant Mike Cusick interviewed the victims.
They were both very scared at the time. They were visibly shaking, and both felt that they had come close to dying. I think if Eva hadn't been apprehended, I think somebody would have died, probably an innocent person. The old adage of look for the males that don't fit in the neighborhood just doesn't fit anymore. You have to look for the females that don't fit in the neighborhood, too. They're not sheltered from the violence like they used to be, and they're growing up in the world knowing about the violence, and they're participating in it. And Eva is not one of a single girl out there that acts like this.
Murder by teenagers is also up. There's been a 60% increase in the arrest rate for murder by boys in the past 5 years. But it's not only boys who are committing such vicious crimes. The arrest rate for murder by girls went up 25%. June 14th, 1983. The people of Auburn, California were shocked by the stabbing death of 85-year-old Anna Brackett. The shock grew when 2 teenage girls were arrested by police for doing it. 14-year-old Shirley Wolf and 15-year-old Cindy Collier were runaways and had known each other only a few hours before they committed the murder. Former schoolmates and neighbors recall that even as a child, Cindy was violent.
Cindy used to taunt my sister and her friends because I guess you could say they weren't like her. Cindy used to slap him hard. They'd always come home crying.
She'd like to beat them up until they knew that she was there.
Give me a list of some of the crimes you committed.
Grand theft auto, strong arm robbery, burglary, assault and battery, murder, possession of narcotics, basically the basics, joyriding, drunk in public.
And this is all before the age of 15?
Mm-hmm. And half of those I never got popped for. I mean, who's going to look at a girl? They're going to look at a guy first. They're going to investigate, and never come up with the girl is doing it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people I hung around with, the girls that I hung around with, we all did our crimes. So it was like, we could walk right past the cop and not even worry about it.
Like many bad girls, Shirley Wolf had a troubled childhood and a reputation as a schoolyard bully.
I've hurt a lot of people with my fighting.
Tell me about that.
I had an attitude where don't come near me, don't mess me over, don't burn me. Because if you do, I'm going to hurt you. And if I can't get you with my fist, I'm going to get you another way.
On the morning of the murder, Cindy and Shirley decided to run away and needed a car to leave town. The two girls went knocking on doors at this apartment complex, and Anna Brackett let them in.
The victim was on the floor, and I had been sitting on her lower back, and then I had just held her down, and I had stabbed her. And I just kept stabbing her. I wasn't counting them or nothing. I just wanted to make sure she was dead.
She was repeatedly stabbed in the back and the neck, a total of 28 times, with one of the
Detective Ray Malberg of the Placer County Sheriff's Department.
It was unbelievable that these two young girls could commit such a vicious crime. It was so exhilarating to them that they were on such a high that they wanted to go out and kill additional people.
You wrote in your journal that night, I killed a lady today. It was lots of fun.
At that time, a sense of fun was, it released a lot of that hatred.
Why do you think you did all those things?
Didn't care. To be honest, I did not care. At that time in my life, I did not care about who I hurt or what I did. All that mattered to me was me.
Cindy and Shirley were given the maximum sentence for juveniles, confinement until age 25 in the California Youth Authority. Had they been adults, under California state law, they could have received the death penalty. Next, we'll look at what happens to bad girls after they're convicted. He ain't heavy, Father. He's my brother. The motto of Boys Town, Nebraska, a legendary home for wayward boys that was founded back in 1917, and 72 years later is still going strong. Today, things are different, though. Now there are girls at Boys Town, about 150 of them. Some are homeless, but many have committed serious crimes and have been sent here by juvenile courts from across the country. In 1938, the Hollywood classic made Boys Town a household name. Spencer Tracy won the Academy Award for the role of Father Flanagan, Boys Town's founder.
I want a home for them where they can stay, and where they can learn. A town for boys, governed by boys. It's worth a shot, isn't it?
Good morning, kids. How are you this morning? Get over here, boys. How are you guys this morning? Thanks, you guys. How are my old friends over here this morning, girls?
Today, Father Val Peter is in charge of the modern coeducational Boys Town.
Did you get the job?
Did
you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, fantastic. Did you really?
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it.
There have been a lot of changes since Father Flanagan's day, but the tradition of helping kids remains the same.
There are a lot of people who don't think that they're troubled kids in the heartland, that it's just an inner city problem.
You see the beautiful prairie out here? Filled with troubled kids. New York's filled with troubled kids. Nebraska's filled with troubled kids. They're all over. Our country is experiencing an explosion of trouble for adolescents.
Boys Town began admitting girls in 1979. it has become the largest privately run residential program for troubled girls in the country. Are the girls coming in with a history of more violence than they had 5 years ago, 10 years ago when you started admitting girls?
When we started admitting girls in '79, it's the difference between day and night. The number of girls who come to us now who have been brutally abused. Number of kids who are involved in violent crimes, I mean assault and battery, all of those things are on the increase.
Give me an idea of some of the offenses that some of these girls have committed.
They have been into shoplifting, they have been into grand larceny, they have been into drug dealing, they have been into prostitution, you name it, they have been into it. In other words, these are the same common crimes that you would find among boys.
And violent crimes as well.
Oh,
Assault,
violent crimes,
batteries.
assault. You will find a fair number of our girls who are felons have actually attacked other people physically.
That's what brought Yvette here in January of 1988.
Because of me holding in lots of family problems, I exploded on a person and I stabbed him.
And what do you think your future would have been had you not come to Boys Town?
I would probably be in a juvenile prison starting out. Probably get out of there and be a pregnant teenager. And then on to the women's prison. Probably living on welfare. But all that has changed. Thank goodness.
Yvette is 17 now. She lives in a home with 8 other girls.
But we have a good time. They love to go shopping.
The home is one of 10 new on-campus residences for girls built in just the last 2 years. Like the others, this home is supervised by a live-in married couple called Family Teachers, Sylvester and Evelyn Wilson. Give me an idea what you all do as family teachers.
How to be independent. We teach them independent skills and social skills and how to survive.
How to communicate your problems, appropriately disagree. So we're basically teaching skills. That's our job, is to teach all the time.
Yvette and the other kids attend school on campus. There's an emphasis on education, but plenty of extracurricular activities, including sports. Yvette has taken up running. For those with other interests, there's a working dairy farm and horses, too. There's a $1 million career training center which offers how-to courses in business and computer skills.
1, 2,
Cosmetology, home maintenance, or the kids can elect to take courses in health care or professional food services. Youngsters like Yvette are encouraged to develop their artistic talents. She's already won 2 national art competitions, and she's a leading member of the Boys Town Choir. With the help of a Boys Town scholarship, this fall, Yvette will be going to college.
Yvette is going to be a big, big, big success.
Do you know something I don't know?
Yes.
Oh.
I talk to the Lord on a regular basis, and he says,
Okay.
give Yvette a message.
All right.
All
That's
right?
my message.
Yeah, she's going to graduate. She's going to be a huge success.
You got to be proud of yourself.
Yes. It's like a dream, you know. This is all the stuff that I always put on cartoon paper and wish that I could be, and now here I am.
Do you pinch yourself? See if it's
yes,
real?
It's me.
Although Boys Town has recently opened programs in Florida and Texas and plans more expansion, there's usually a waiting list to get in. And Boys Town doesn't take every girl who applies. Murderers and arsonists are usually excluded as too dangerous. All told, only a few hundred girls nationwide are fortunate enough to end up in Boys Town's programs. So where do juvenile courts send most of today's violent girls? They used to call places like this reform school. Now the preferred term is training school. But whatever you call them, these juvenile jails are where the girls who've committed the worst offenses end up. 8,000 girls a year are locked up in institutions like this one, and the numbers are growing.
Go, let's breathe out.
This one's called the Ventura School, and California's most dangerous young female criminals are locked up here. 300 girls between the ages of 13 and 25 are doing time here for everything from drug dealing to murder. Like many similar institutions across the country, Ventura is overcrowded. 95 girls live in this building, meant for 50.
Wendy's just calling me.
Huh? Critics of juvenile prisons like Ventura say its very size keeps the children from getting the individual attention that might actually rehabilitate them.
Our research shows that about 40 to 50% of the training schools in the United States are chronically overcrowded.
Professor Ira Schwartz of the University of Michigan.
Generally, most time is spent trying to manage the juveniles to keep things quiet rather than being able to provide the programming that they need. And so, in effect, they come out worse, in effect, than when they went in.
Ventura Superintendent Sylvester Caraway. The critics of not your institution, but of institutionalization in general, will say what you're really doing here is warehousing kids.
I would imagine that's true to a point, but by warehousing them, we're also reducing crime in the community.
Ventura does offer inmates a high school education and college-level classes. And while it has some unusual job training programs, there are not enough to go around.
Thank you for calling TWA. Bye-bye.
Only 20 girls are employed in this TWA airline reservation center, and 12 girls enrolled in this dog grooming class. Only about half of Ventura's female inmates are enrolled in vocational training. The rest of them spend a lot of time just killing time. When she was 14, Jessica Flores stabbed a girl to death in a fight at a party. She can be held at Ventura until she's 25. You're basically growing up here.
Yeah. You get used to it after a while, you know. It don't seem like a lot, but you get used to it.
There's not as much offered here for them as should be here at Ventura School. We don't offer enough to help them upon parole. You know, it's more like we're just maintaining them. We're just making sure no one gets hurt, trying to make sure no one gets hurt.
Tammy O'Ross has been a counselor here for 8 years. At Ventura, there's only one counselor for every 11 girls. That's not unusual for big institutions like this, but it does make the counselor's job frustrating. During Tammy's 8-hour shift, she and one other staff member are responsible for 50 girls, getting them from here to there, keeping them safe. On top of that, she's supposed to provide individual counseling for the 10 girls on her caseload.
I don't think any of them are getting the time that they need. You know, when you have to rush someone in and out of your office, 20 minutes at a shot so you can get everybody in there, I don't think any of them are getting all that they need.
I haven't been counseled by my counselor except once within 6 months.
As you wait for life on the outside and to get out of here, what are they doing to help you prepare for that?
Nothing. Really. If you ask me, on my personal level, nothing.
Officials here at Ventura aren't unaware of these feelings, but they say, as is so often the case, budget problems keep them from providing the kind of counseling the girls need.
We have kind of taken a survey here. We have found that at least 100 of our girls need specialized counseling because of their victimization, the type of crime they were involved in, and we're not able to provide them all that.
And the experts say girls especially need that counseling. Barry Chrisberg is president of the National Council on Crime and Delinquency. Is it more difficult for girls to deal with incarceration emotionally than boys?
I think it is more difficult for girls to deal with incarceration because they come to the experience often with much deeper emotional problems. A very typical pattern is sexual and physical abuse when they're young. They need counseling. They need a great deal of help. Self-images have been fractured.
You're looked down on like you're a threat and a burden to society and that you don't really have a right to be alive sometimes, and you get to feeling really down on yourself.
and pent-up emotions lead to more trouble. Ventura is a co-ed facility, and while both boys and girls often get in fights with each other, it's the girls who most often attack the staff.
They seem to have a lesser of an ability to control their impulsiveness than the guys do.
Group Supervisor Glenn Fout works in the detention unit where kids who cause trouble at Ventura are brought to cool off. Give me an idea of some of the situations that you or some of the other staff have run into with girls here.
The staff opened the door and the ward came at her, stabbed her in the head and on the cheeks, was trying to get the eye. Another situation in which a ward had a razor blade melted into a mascara pencil, and when the staff came down, opened her door, attempted to cut, and later admitted that she was trying to cut his eye out.
Jim Bauk is president of the Union of Ventura's Youth Counselors and Guards. Were any of these kids served by being at a facility like Ventura?
Well, are the kids served as the public served? That's what you have to deal with. In my estimation, you're getting a 5 to 10% that actually might get something out of the youth authority. The other 90%, you're just waiting until they become old enough that you can send them to adult corrections. It's a housing facility.
Since 1984, the number of girls reincarcerated after release from Ventura increased from 24% to 37%.
I think that 99% of the kids that leave Ventura School, the Department of Youth Authority, their goal is to be successful in the community. Once they get in that community, there's a lot of things in that community who doesn't support that goal. And so they soon return to life of crime.
I think the only thing that rehabilitates you from this place is you hate it so much that you don't want to come back.
What if these girls were sent to ordinary American neighborhoods and watched like a hawk? In a moment, we'll go across the country to a state which is trying just that. In Massachusetts, as elsewhere, violence among girls is a growing problem.
I started fighting her, and I started kicking her all in her stomach and her face. And next thing you know, she was out, cold, out. I stabbed 2 females.
I tried to blind a girl, chlorine.
So you threw chlorine in her eyes to try to blind her?
Yeah, but just aggravated that thing.
I've done a whole lot of things I haven't got caught for.
Yeah? What sort of stuff?
Robbery, shoplifting. I'd pull out a knife in a minute, stab anybody that came my way. Or if I didn't have a knife, I still fought them.
They don't come much tougher than Roxbury's LaDawn Calhoun. At age 15, her arrest record includes assault and battery, robbery, and a stabbing. She specialized in picking fights with rival gang members. Give me a typical scenario. You're going to jump this one because you don't like the way she carries herself.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to her?
I'm gonna push her. She's gonna hit back, and then I'm gonna pull up my knife. I'm gonna stab her.
Where are you going to stab her?
Hopefully in the leg.
In the leg. Why the leg?
Because you can't get killed there.
Okay, let's do it and try.
Massachusetts has decided attitudes like that won't be changed at those huge training schools. Instead, the state locks up violent girls like LaDawn in smaller group homes with a maximum of 12 girls. LaDawn and the other girls are given intensive treatment by people specially trained to deal with delinquent girls. There is one counselor for every 3 girls. None of them are state employees. Most of these treatment homes are run privately under contract to Massachusetts. If they don't do the job, the state replaces them with someone who can. Donna Greasy is the director of the treatment center in Littleton.
Girls are definitely harder to treat than boys. Girls' emotions are a lot deeper, and their problems seem to be rooted a lot further into, if you will, their psyche. So we have to dig deeper, we have to dig harder, we have to stay with it longer than with boys.
There's no magic to the approach here. The heart of the treatment is intensive therapy.
How can somebody take the advice that you give when you give it in the wrong way, and you're being negative when you give it?
For at least 3 hours a day, the girls are forced to take a hard look at themselves and each other.
When Melly tells us something we don't accept, she just jumps down our throat, which is wrong, Melly.
You see, Melly, when you're in rotten space, you're too emotionally charged up to hear what's being said, and what you want to do is react and push and shove.
It takes a few months, but most girls do get close to the root of their bad behavior.
When I was 5 years old, I was neglected by my mother for quite a while. My mother just up and left me for quite a while.